In today's gospel, Jesus tells us, who the Son sets free is free indeed. But what happens when those of us who think we're following in his way already don't acknowledge the fact that we do need to be set free from our sins? Fleming Rutledge writes, Jesus said, "Blessed is he who takes no offense at me." Yet we are repeatedly told throughout the four Gospels, people did just that. Here's a story of two women who took offense at him. The first woman, let's call her Sally, told me she was having trouble finding a church she liked. I suggested she try Saint such and such. "Oh no," she exclaimed, "I could never go there." "Why not?" I asked. To my amazement, she said, "I would have to look at that big cross they have behind the altar with that figure of Christ hanging on it. It would upset me terribly." The second woman, let's call her Jane, is a woman who appeared to be a very agreeable person to those who saw her socially or at church. But I knew for a fact she made life difficult for her family. The fact that she had such a pleasing personality on the surface just made it worse because she was used to getting her own way. During Holy Week several years ago, she said something that, from my point of view, was deeply revealing. One Palm Sunday, she participated in a dramatized version of the gospel reading. As a member of the congregation representing the crowd, she was supposed to shout, "Let him be crucified." This part of the reading is often a significant moment for those who take part of it. In fact, I know people whose faith has been kindled or rekindled at that moment. After the service was over, several of us were standing around the coffee hour talking about how moving the service had been. At this point, Jane said with considerable energy, "I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't say it. I couldn't say such an awful thing." I have often thought since how terribly sad it was. In her stubborn blindness, Jane could not identify herself as a sinner like all the rest of us. She could not admit that she too was capable of evil thoughts and malicious deeds. She was preoccupied with her own virtue and her own religiousness. A Benedictine monk once said, "If you can't handle the violence in the Psalms, you can't come to terms with the violence in yourself." I have one more little story about Sally, who didn't want to look at the figure of Jesus on the crucifix. One day she bought an expensive blouse at a store and took it with her in her shopping bag. Unfortunately, the saleswoman had forgotten to remove the plastic device attached to the blouse. When Sally tried to go through the door, the alarms went off and security forces pounced on her. "Oh dear, how horrible for you," cried her friends, listening to the story. "It must have been so distressing. Did you call your husband? Did you have your identification? Did you call a lawyer? Did you ask to see the president of the store?" "Oh," said Sally, "that wasn't the problem. I didn't have any trouble establishing who I was. The bad part, the really bad part, was the feeling of being treated like a common criminal." Because she believes herself to be one of the good people, because she could never ever commit a small sin like shoplifting, she cannot see the connection between Jesus' death as a common criminal and herself. Sally could not hear the message of Good Friday. Jane could not hear it, but perhaps you can hear it today on their behalf as well as your own when you reflect upon Jesus hanging on the cross. How do we measure the size of a fire? By the number of firefighters and engines sent against it. When you really come to know the unconditional love and forgiveness of Jesus, then you will also come to know the depth of your own participation in sin. And at that very same moment, you will come to know the true reality, the true joy and gladness of the good news of salvation in Jesus Christ our Lord. Today, let's ask ourselves, can we sit in those uncomfortable moments of our own guilt in order to understand the beauty of Christ setting us free.